Hello family and friends and fellow YouTubers, it's Kim here from Kim's Country Corner, and today I'm out at the Hancock Homestead. It is Holy Saturday and I'm getting ready to prepare the food for our Hancock Easter celebration. We are celebrating today on Saturday because Karen and Matt need to be with the Kendricks this year on Easter Sunday. So we're going to be having our celebration today. We're going to be eating between 11 and 12. Karen and Matt have an Easter egg hunt that they would like to take the kids to. So we're going to try to have our celebration here wrapped up by 12:30 so that they can go to that Easter egg hunt too. But we're going to start our celebration here. We're going to have an Easter egg hunt for the grandkids out here at 10 o'clock. Then we have a friend that's coming about 10:30. And then we all hope to be eating by 11. There'll be me and John, Karen and Matt, the grandkids. Katie Bath is driving up this morning. And then Rusty Adam, a real dear friend of ours, will be here too. So it's going to be a small but fantastic celebration. And I'm so thankful and so blessed that I'm going to be able to spend it here with my immediate family. So, but I do want to wish my brother Stephen and my sister Jody down in Lebanon happy Easter, and all of my friends out there and all of my followers a blessed Easter weekend. Hope everyone is able to enjoy it, stay safe, but still celebrate. Okay, so I want to show you some of the foods that I've already got on. It's about 6:15 and I've been up since 6 getting food ready. So I want to go ahead and show you what's started and what I have left to do. Okay, so in the oven I have already got the ham set at a very low temperature to just kind of start warming it up. I'll turn it up to a higher temperature after I get the potatoes in. And then over here in the crock pot, I have put the chicken in some chicken broth. It is set on low at this point in time. There's the angel food cake. The potatoes have been peeled and sliced. I'm getting ready to make the scalloped potatoes. I found a pack of navy beans, and I just love ham and beans, so I've got them on to pre-soak to fix for a meal later on. And I have the beans and corn sitting out here so I can remember to put them in, and the rolls. But right now I'm going to be working on the scalloped potatoes. So let's go ahead and get started with them. Okay friends, so I'm going to start making my scalloped potatoes. And to do my scalloped potatoes, I always like to use red potatoes. Red potatoes do not cook down as soft. They kind of hold their firmness a little bit more in baking dishes. So I use red potatoes, and these have been peeled and sliced. We did these last night. You can prepare your potatoes ahead of time. Just make sure you cover them with cold water because then the cold water does not let them turn brown. Okay, so my potatoes have been prepared. Alright, now I'm going to get ready to make the white sauce that I put over the top of the potatoes. And this white sauce you can find in the Betty Crocker recipe book, as well as I'm sure online. However, everything it calls for in here I always double, and I know the recipe by heart, so we're going to go ahead and just get started. Okay, so the first thing that I like to use is a whole stick of butter. That's considered a half a cup. Okay, so a half a cup of butter. Okay, so then after you put in your stick of butter, which is equal to a half a cup, you want to melt it down and heat it up until it becomes bubbly. Butter does not need a super high temperature to become bubbly. I had it set at a 5 while it was melting down, but I turned it down to a 3 because I don't want to scorch my butter. So you just kind of have to find the right temperature that will melt the butter and make it bubbly. All right, and mine is at that temperature now. So it's over here. It's doing a soft, bubbly type of movement. And now I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of flour. Okay, so to my 1/2 cup of butter, I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of flour. Okay, and then I'm going to stir that up to make kind of like a paste. Alright, and then to that I'm going to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. So the pepper, I only do 1/8 of a teaspoon. This is a 1/4 here, so I'm only going to use half of it. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pour my salt over this cup so that I don't accidentally get too much salt in there. Okay, so then a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. All right. Okay, so let me bring you in so you can see what this looks like. Okay, so there's the mixture. It's the bubbly butter, 1/2 cup of butter, a 1/2 cup of the flour, 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay, so there's your bubbly base. Okay, and so then to the bubbly base, I'm going to turn that down even more because I don't want that to scorch. Okay, so then to the bubbly base, I'm going to add 3 cups of milk. And I use 2% milk. You can also use whole milk. Since you're going to be making white sauce, I would try to stay away from the skim milk or the low fat, but 2% and whole work great. I mean, if you're going to be eating white sauce, now's not really the time to be worrying about that diet anyway, so if you're worried about your diet, the best thing to do is just eat some baked potato and not worry about the white sauce. But anyway, I'm going to splurge a little bit today, and I'm going to have scalloped potatoes, and for scalloped potatoes you have to have white sauce. And if you're going to make the white sauce, you might as well do it the right way. And that's using fatted milk and real butter. So, alright, so now I'm going to bring this to a bubble. Bring it back up to a bubble. A low boil. Now when you're making your white sauce for your scalloped potatoes, you don't have to worry about it being super thick at the very beginning, because as the potatoes are cooking, the white sauce will thicken on its own in the oven. You're just kind of wanting to get it started with its thickening process. Alright, so that looks pretty good. So I'm going to turn that back down to low heat. And I'm going to put the potatoes into the dish. I usually have enough for 2. Okay, so I usually have enough potatoes and white sauce to do 2 casserole dishes. I cannot find my other casserole dish, so I think I might have taken it down to my brother's and forgot to bring it back. So I'm going to have to use just one of my baking dishes, and I'll put some aluminum foil over the top. Okay, but the first thing I like to do with my dishes is to spray them so that the potatoes do not stick. Okay? Okay, and then I like to add a little bit of the white sauce to the bottom of the dishes. Like so. Okay, and so, and then I just start layering in the potatoes. Alright, and then after I get the bottom layer, I add a little bit more of the white sauce to the middle. And like I said, this will cook up as it's cooking in the oven. It will thicken up. Alright, and then we're going to put on another layer of the potatoes. Okay, and so then the pretty dish over here I will be using for the Easter dinner, and then this extra dish I will keep aside for John and I to have for our meals. I always just like to go ahead and fix the whole 5 pounds. That's why I always have leftovers. So what you're seeing me do here is for 5 pounds of potatoes. Okay. Alright, and then I just pour the remainder of the white sauce over the top, like so. Now I like for my potatoes to be at least halfway covered with the white sauce. So let's say that you don't make quite enough white sauce. What you can always do is just go back and add a little bit of milk, okay, to bring that level up to half. Alright, so there we go. Alright. Get these covered and get them into the oven. Okay, but I don't want my potatoes done too early. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold off putting them into the oven until 9 o'clock, because we want to eat at 11, and these potatoes are only going to take about a half an hour to 2 hours, and so I'm going to put them in around 9:15. So let's move on to the next thing on the list. Okay, so a lot of times Katie Beth will do the deviled eggs for me. However, she had a long work day yesterday and she wasn't able to get into home last night, so she has to drive up this morning. So I told her not to worry about it, that I would do the deviled eggs for her. So let's do them next. So the first thing you're going to need to do your deviled eggs are, of course, the eggs. And I hard-boiled these yesterday, so that would be one less step I had to do today. Any kind of prep work that I could do yesterday, I did yesterday. Like, we got the glorified rice made yesterday. I hope you watched that video, even though it was a little bit of a disaster, and you'll see why if you watch it. And then we peeled and sliced the potatoes yesterday. We boiled the eggs yesterday. So any kind of prep work I could do ahead of time, I did. Just less work for today. Alright, so I have my dozen hard-boiled eggs, and I'm going to turn them into deviled eggs. So I'm going to bring you down for a closer look. Okay, so while I'm peeling these eggs, I thought I would explain to you how to make hard-boiled eggs, just in case you're a newbie here. So you take your eggs and you put them into a pan of water. You want to start them out in cold or lukewarm water. You bring them to a boil, okay? Once they start boiling, then you set your timer for 15 minutes. After they have finished boiling for 15 minutes, you take that immediately off the stove, pour off that hot water, and add cold water and ice cubes. And what that does is it separates the shell from the egg, which makes them easier then to peel. Okay friends, so the eggs have been peeled. I put them in this bowl of water to make sure that all of the shells are definitely off. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them in half, going lengthwise, like so. And then as I cut them, I take out the centers so that I can make the mixture that goes back into them, okay? So cut them in half lengthwise, take out the yolk, okay? So let me get this done and we'll move on to the next step. Okay friends, so we have the yolks out. Now it's time to add the other ingredients. And that includes mayonnaise, mustard, and vinegar, okay? Now, I'm going to have to be honest with you, I really do not measure this stuff out. But what I do is I start slow, okay? And then just add more of whatever ingredient I feel like it needs more of. So I usually start out with 2 heaping tablespoons of the mayonnaise here. Probably about a teaspoon of the mustard, okay? And then I add about a teaspoon of vinegar. Okay friends, so my battery shut off, but you're back. Okay, so let me tell you what I've done. I started out by adding 2 tablespoons of the mayonnaise, okay, and a squirt of the mustard, and then just a tablespoon of vinegar. And whenever I do my vinegar, I always pour it over another bowl so that I don't accidentally get too much vinegar. Alright, so right now I have the yolks, I have 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, probably about a teaspoon of mustard, and then a teaspoon of vinegar. Alright, I'm going to mix all that together. Okay, I'm going to do a little taste test here. Okay, I think I want it just a tad bit creamier, so I'm going to add another tablespoon of the mayonnaise. Okay, another little squirt of the mustard. I don't measure, guys, sorry. I've never been too much of a measurer. Of course, these are just things I've made so many times that I just guesswork it. Alright, another little taste test. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Alright, so to summarize, I did 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise, about a teaspoon and a half of the mustard, and then about a teaspoon of vinegar. Okay, and you know, you can adjust it according to your likes. Like if you want it creamier, you add more mayonnaise. If you don't want it as creamy, if you like a thicker texture, you don't add as much mayonnaise. You know, you can kind of adjust your ingredients, but those are the 3 main ingredients that you do need. Now, some people like to add salt, paprika. You know, you can do those things. We are just very simple. As far as salt goes, we try to cut down our salt intake, so I just let people add salt as they want it. Okay, so now all I gotta do is take this mixture and put it into the eggs. Alright, so to put the mixture in, I just take a spoon, dip out some of the mixture, put it into the hole, and put it back into my tray. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and fill all these up, and I'll be back. Okay friends, so there are the deviled eggs. The sun's starting to shine in. It's going to be a beautiful day. Okay, so I have put in the scalloped potatoes. And I have my ham and my 2 dishes of scalloped potatoes, and I bumped my heat up to, so now everything should be cooking and be finished by 11 o'clock. Rolls are ready, the glorified rice is ready. I've made the tea, and the shortcake is ready with the strawberries. So everything is finished. I hope to be able to share some of our family Easter activity with you. I'll just have to see how the day goes.